Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome all those out there in TV land to a virtual Third Thursday at the Chrysler Museum Glass Studio. Tonight we're doing something called Passing the Torch. And I thank you for tuning in. This is Robin Rogers, the studio manager and program director, coming to you from the back room, Control Central. I'm going to be operating the camera and narrating for you as we watch some action out here on the floor. We have our studio assistant team getting to work on a collaborative sculpture for your viewing enjoyment this evening. We're going to be talking a little bit about the process and about the inspiration for this piece, and it should end with a nice, fun culmination. So as the team gets to work here, they're taking glass out of our furnace, which is at the heart of the studio, full of molten glass, molten clear glass. They're going to be rolling that glass through crushed up powdered glass, making components for a sculpture that will come together in the end. And here you can see Taylor is going in for what's called a gather of glass. She's putting a fresh gather of molten glass on the end of a long metal rod here. The studio is buzzing with activity this evening. There you can see Becca has taken a fresh gather. She allows some of that glass to drip off the end. And Sue goes in for another gather here. So as we start tonight's presentation, I would like to first kind of take us all on a very quick trip back in time. We're going to actually go back in time very quickly, back to the 1950s, right, on these very grounds. And we're going to see if we can see what was happening around the Chrysler Museum back in 1951. So I'm sure many of you recognize this building. What is currently the Chrysler Museum of Art was known as the Norfolk Museum of Arts and Sciences back there. And while it looks possibly familiar to you right now, you might notice there's something missing from the very front of the building there. And what's missing is, of course, the Anna Hyatt Huntington sculpture, the torch bearers, which we're all very familiar with here in Norfolk. So Anna Hyatt Huntington was a prominent American sculptor in the 20th century, known for figurative works often depicting animals. She was the daughter of a zoologist professor, and she studied formally both in Boston and in New York City, the sculpture, included at the Art Students League of New York. She was one of the earliest women artists to be elected to the American Academy of Arts and Letters. And we all know her incredible work, The Torchbearers, which arrived on site in 1957. And there's some photos of the piece getting assembled. It actually came in two components and was welded together on site. This monumental work is made of cast aluminum, and the artist was on site for its installation. This sculpture actually exists in 5 versions around the world. There's several in the United States, Cuba, and in Madrid, Spain, at other museums and in university collections. But tonight we're going to focus in on the theme of this sculpture, the torch bearers, and specifically the torch, which you can see there in the photograph. And the passing of the torch. And tonight we have sort of a figurative passing of the torch. So here at the Glass Studio, we have something that's called the Studio Assistantship Program, and some of you may be familiar with this program. We have incredible artists that come to us and spend 6 months at a time helping us do everything from the demonstrations to helping with the classes to help maintaining our studio. And these sessions, as I said, were 6 months long. They change over right about the middle of July and the middle of January. So right now we're currently in the week of changeover, and we have some graduating assistants with us tonight. We have some that have decided to stick around for another 6 months, and we have some brand new assistants who are just joining our team. And so I'm going to spend just the next couple minutes getting you familiar with some of their faces, some of their names, and some of the work that they create, because again, you should know about the incredible work these artists are making. And we're going to start with the graduating assistants. First up is Soo-yoon Kang, who's originally from South Korea. Sue recently got her Master of Fine Arts degree from RIT, and she's been with us for the last year. We've been really thrilled to have her as a team member. She's really a great person to work with. She's very fun. This is Sue working at the bench right now. I think we have one more picture of her work. Yeah, more of her work here. And a final piece by Sue. So let's give it up for Sue. The next graduating studio assistant we have is Abby Uffelman. Abby has a BFA from Tyler University. She too has been with us for the last year at the studio. This is some recent work of hers, which is very poignant and timely. And she makes some incredible work with optics and marbles and glass. And we've been really lucky to have her with us here the last year. Abby's going to be sticking around Norfolk, so you can still see her around town, and I'm sure she won't be a stranger to our studio. Everybody on the floor, let's give it up for Abby. Is that microphone on? Our next graduating assistant is Nikki Richter, and Nikki, originally from Ohio, got her Bachelor of Fine Arts from the Columbus College of Art and Design in glass and illustration. Nikki was also with us for an entire year. She actually headed back to Ohio earlier this week, but she does some incredible work using a process called pâte de verre, incorporating her illustrations with glass, and it was a great pleasure having her here as part of our studio team. She also works in blown glass. All right, everybody on the floor, let's give it up for Nikki. So let's see what's happening out here. Some components are being created. That torch, if you take a look at it, has several parts to it, and the artists are working on creating these individual parts. Becca's actually making what looks like a cube. And Sue is starting to work on what will be the flame on top of the torch. So Sue has a gray kind of cone shape here, and they're going to be adding different orange and red glass to that cone to shape the flame. You can see Pat has some glass there, and they are heating that glass up in the reheating chamber. All the glass you see being worked out here is somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 degrees, depending on the part of the process they're in. It's moving, it's malleable, it's molten, it's glowing. And it's a whole lot of fun to work with. The way you'll see this team working together is very much a dance on the floor. You can see Pat is shaping up that red glass there. This is called a bit. And they're going to heat that bit up and deliver it to Sue. And here comes that molten red glass. It looks bright orange because it's so incredibly hot, but it's actually a reddish color when it cools off. And Sue has a tool here that she can cut right through that molten glass. And this is just the very first part of the flame. Now we have some assistants that have decided to stick around and grace us with their presence for another 6 months. And we couldn't be happier for that. First up, Mr. Michael Mills. Michael's originally from Kentucky, but most recently from Minnesota. He's been working with glass for about 13 years, and he's happy to call Norfolk, Virginia his home now. This is a recent piece he made, which is actually made of shells, found shells on the beach, which spell out phrases. And I'm going to tell you how you can view this work and many of these pieces that we've shown tonight here in just a moment. But Michael also works with glass. He loves to work with what's called cane, which is a Venetian technique to add elaborate coloration to the glass. And right now, Michael is delivering some glass to Sue. And everybody on the floor, let's give it up for Michael. We have Dara Alper returning as well for the next 6 months. Dara is from Norfolk, Virginia originally. She has a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Kent State University in Ohio. She is not here with us tonight, but we'd love to show you some of her work. This is some recent work, which you can also view in the exhibition that these artists currently have, and I'll tell you how to view that work here momentarily. This is some work also with the process called Pat de Verre that she's created. It has some video projection on it as well. And this is work created using the flame working process. Dara is traveling right now, but we look forward to her return. Let's give it up for Dara out there on the floor. All right. Megan Lang, originally from Ohio, who recently got a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Ball State University in Indiana, has also decided to spend another 6 months with us. We're really thrilled about that. This is some illustrations from a new series that she recently has been working on, which is also in the exhibition I'm about to tell you about. These are collaborative works where people sent her images, selfies from their COVID experience she translated into drawings. And this is an installation with blown glass and lighting, emulating landscape and grass. And here's a neon dinosaur made by Megan. Everybody on the floor and everybody at home, give it up for Megan. Nice. And we have Pat Langley, who is returning once again. Pat is from Tulsa, Oklahoma, studied at the Kansas City Art Institute, and holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Sculpture from that institution. Again, Pat is returning. We're really thrilled to have them with us on the team for another 6 months. This is a really interesting piece that's blown glass with grown crystals. And here's some cast glass skulls. And they also work in fused glass. So these are some really beautiful examples of fusings. So everybody on the floor and everybody at home, let's give it up for Pat. Now this outgoing group of assistants, typically the studio assistants have an exhibition at the end of their time here, and it's at a local venue. And we had a venue lined up, but due to extenuating circumstances, that exhibition is not happening in person, but I'm happy to tell you that they have an online exhibition, which is currently viewable at Chrysler.org. We're actually going to put a link to that exhibition in the comments of this live feed, so you can find it through there, or you can go to Chrysler.org, click on Glass Studio, and you'll find a link to their exhibition. So a few of the pieces I've just showed you will be on there, as well as many, many more. So let's see how they're coming along here. The flame is taking shape. And on the other bench, Looks like Megan's working on another component of the torch. And there in the background, Taylor has gathered up quite a bit of glass to create the handle of the torch. We're going to have a fun culminating moment when all these components come together. If anyone at home watching has any questions, feel free to enter them in the chat and we can do our best to answer them as we go along. Here you can see Pat going into some crushed up colored glass. This is one way that we add color to the surface of the glass. So they have molten clear glass, and since it's so hot, the particles of the crushed up colored glass just stick to the surface. If you didn't know, glass is made of silica, soda ash, and lime, and color is added to the glass by melting those raw materials together with metal oxides to create different hues and tones. Okay, and now I'd love to talk to you about our 4 incoming studio assistants, 3 of which are out there on the floor right now. Starting first with Taylor Cheek. Taylor, originally from Ohio, has a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from MassArt in Boston, and she very recently received a Master of Science in Art Therapy from EVMS. She actually moved here to study at EVMS and has become part of our studio as having a glass background, and she looks forward to merging her glass background with her art therapy degree. You can see some of Taylor's work on the screen here. Blown glass and fused glass, even woven fiberglass that's been fused together. Please help me in joining and welcoming Taylor to the team. Yay! Also out on the floor tonight, we have Becca Lowe. Becca is originally from New Jersey and recently got her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the Virginia Commonwealth University just up the road in Richmond. And she also works with wood, blown glass. You can see those pieces with safety pins and glass. Some really interesting mixed media work. We're thrilled to have Becca here with us on the team. Let's give it up for Becca. Welcome, Becca. Yay! We have another VCU graduate, Jasmine Steiner, who is actually not here tonight, but will be joining our team very soon. She also recently got a degree from VCU, a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. She works not only in glass, but also in photography. And here are some of her works. Combination of photography, glass, and plant life there. So let's give it up for Jasmine. Welcome to the team, Jasmine. Yay! And last but certainly not least is Carrie Woodard. Carrie is from Norfolk, Virginia. And she actually began blowing glass in our studio a number of years ago as a student, as an ODU student, from which she has a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in drawing and design. And she most recently has been continuing her glass practice at Tidewater Community College in Portsmouth. So please help me in welcoming Carrie to our team. Yay, welcome, welcome everybody. Thank you to all the graduates and to the returners and to you at home tuning in. So it looks like they've begun to assemble some of these parts. This is the torch handle that's coming together on this bench. And over here we see the flame continuing to take shape. Also working on the floor tonight, we have team members Betty, Miss Betty Gowans, and Laura McPhee. There's Laura over there. Katie's running the slideshow and the microphone, running around. And Julia's out there to capture our grand finale. So on the front bench, we have the first two components put together, and Becca's just pulled out the third, which is sort of a cube shape. So as they sculpted these components, they placed them into what we call the garage, which is right up here. And the garage is at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Sounds hot to maybe you and I, but glass at 1,000 degrees is actually not hot. It's rather cold. It's not moving, but it's also not shrinking or cooling to the point that it would crack. So all the parts they made are kind of hanging out in the garage, and they can pull them out one by one to assemble. And as they put them together, they'll use a very hot oxygen propane torch to very specifically heat the connection points. And they've made an attachment there. There we go. Very nice. They're just using those wooden paddles to kind of center that cube up and kind of squish it on there. So no glue required, just hot glass. If you get glass hot enough, it will fuse and stick to itself. Meanwhile, they continue to work on the flame here. So they're using a variety of torches. The torch you see in use over there is just a propane torch, which is a pretty hot flame. It's about 1,500 degrees or so. It gives a broad, wide heat. It heats up a large area. And we may also see them using, at points, an oxygen propane torch, which has a blue flame, which is very hot, about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the torch we'll be using for assembling. You can see they're using what's called the tiger torch or the fluffy torch, heating up the back side of the handle there. It's important that no part of this piece ever gets below 900 degrees while they're working on it. If it did, it could crack and fall off. So one of the challenges of working with this material is always keeping it that hot or hotter. It's like they're just building up a little bit of heat in the backside there. And I believe we're getting pretty close to assembling. The way they can tell the heat in the glass is by two factors. The way the glass moves, because it actually moves, even when it's about 1,200 degrees, it's moving slowly, but it's still moving. And the other factor is its glow. So you can tell the temperature of the glass also by how much light it's radiating. So the entire time they're working on this piece, it never gets below 900. They're constantly going back into that heat source to keep it moving and malleable. And it looks like Laura's starting to heat with a very hot torch. She's actually just passed that off to Megan. So that's that oxygen propane torch at 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, heating the spot where this flame will make contact. Meanwhile, on the other bench, Michael is gloved up. He's going to be catching this flame in those Kevlar gloves, walking it over and sticking it onto the end of the torch, gluing the two together, or fusing the two together. So this needs to be timed just right for everything to work out. Both pieces of glass need to be a nice hot temperature, but not so hot that they're moving too much. Here you can see Sue adding some water to the constriction on the flame. Michael has those gloves. They're going to tap the piece into his gloves. And here he can bring it over, torch the bottom of the flame. I'm going to make sure both connections are nice and hot. And now placing them together, kind of pushing them together. And you can imagine that's a lot of weight out there at the end of that long metal rod. People often wonder how much these pieces weigh. I would guess that the torch itself at this point weighs maybe 7 or 8 pounds of glass. But on the end of a long metal rod, which itself weighs 8 pounds, it feels much heavier, more like maybe 30 or 40 pounds. Michael, take a step to the left. Very nice. Great job. So this team, believe it or not, this is the first time they've ever worked together like this. And I'd say it's going pretty well. Like a well-oiled machine. The beautiful thing about glass is that it's a dance, and if you know the steps and you meet a team of people that know the steps, then you can all dance together pretty quickly. I'd say that's beautiful. So they're going to take a moment to allow the piece to kind of cool off a little bit. Look at how much it's moving still. You can tell they're constantly turning because it's moving around. We need to allow it to solidify just slightly before the next step. They never spend more than about 30 seconds outside of the heat, constantly going back to that reheating source. Okay, we're working on getting the heat just right. As we prepare for a little finale here. Here we go. Passing the torch, and here comes the fire. Grab down at the bottom, Abby. Yeah! The torch has been passed. All right, very cool. So this team is going to work on now removing the torch from the pipe, which is going to take a few little steps here. They're going to heat up the connection down at the bottom and maybe get it moving a little bit so that they can cut into it and kind of weaken it a little bit, prepare it to be removed from the pipe. This piece is made entirely of solid glass. So they're heating that connection up. Let me get it moving slightly. So we saw the figurative passing of the torch, but someone's actually going to put gloves on and catch this torch in their gloves and race it back to the kiln. The kiln is sitting at 950 degrees Fahrenheit. And a piece like this, made of solid, thick glass, we're going to cool off for about 24 to 30 hours to remove all the stress and let it be happy with itself. Keep it from cracking. The thicker the glass is, the slower that cooling process needs to be. You can see Taylor's using the jacks there to constrict the spot where this piece will be removed from the pipe. Back to the heat. Okay, so Betty is suited up. She has on the Kevlar gloves, the face shield, the welding jacket. They're adding water to the constriction, weakening that spot so that they can tap the pipe, break it off. Into the back they go. And it's in one piece. Fantastic job, team. Everybody give it up for yourselves. And everybody at home. Where are you? Go stand by the stairs. Stand by the stairs. Nice. Terrific. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Passing the torch. We can't wait to have you back in the studio in person for more fun and games. We are doing live demonstrations at noon each day but Monday, and our public classes are starting up this weekend. So come give us a visit and stay safe, everyone. Thank you. Good night.